Everyone is riding gravel bikes these days. The gravel racing scene is exploding and more models of gravel bikes are available every day. A few weeks ago, I collected my brand new Trek Checkpoint SL7 Gen 3 from our local dealer. I chose it because I had a great experience riding the previous model Checkpoint on a gravel cycling holiday in Italy last year. Also, in the current market, it is just the best value, best optioned, best warranty, and nicest looking bike of the bunch. I recently made a comparison video about all of the gravel bike models that I looked into before I made this purchase, which you can see up here or linked in the description below. That video was only a desktop review, whereas in this video I'll dive into exactly what it's been like to ride and some of the practicalities. After 3 rides on my Checkpoint, which I've named Big Red, I'm pleased to report that it is damn awesome. So I've upgraded from an alloy giant TCX with a 2x11 mechanical semi-compact Shimano drivetrain to this beautiful full carbon Trek Checkpoint with a 1x13 SRAM Explore Force Axis drivetrain. The difference in comfort, handling and terrain capability is like night and day. On the Checkpoint, I've tackled some very steep gravel inclines, staying planted in the saddle and just keeping the front wheel grounded. On bumpy and stony single track, the 42mm tyres and simple frame and handlebar vibration damping do an excellent job of soaking up the jolts, maintaining comfort and reducing fatigue. On flat gravel roads, the control and grip is perfect, and I haven't missed the second chainring at all. The transition through the gears with just the 1x13 system provides very manageable gear steps. On downhill sections, the higher stack helps to keep your centre of gravity more rearward, and the SRAM Force disc brakes are strong and effective. The supplied 42mm tyres are wide and grippy enough to maintain traction on most surfaces, noting that officially you can install up to 50mm wide tyres. Now, this isn't the lightest gravel bike out there. If you want super lightweight, the Checkmate is Trek's designated gravel racing bike with extra grams shaved off. So yes, I did notice the extra weight penalty when pushing off from a complete stop. However, the excellent low gearing on the 1x13 drivetrain helps to soothe that strain. Where I have been pleasantly surprised is with downhill cornering on local asphalt roads. I'm used to my old TCX really needing a lot of weight shift to lean into a corner at moderate speed. But the Checkpoint takes corners feeling much more like my road bikes. There is a little extra shoulder tip-in required, but really not much. It's very reassuring to not have to change riding style so dramatically now when moving from road bike to gravel and back again. I am 6 foot and 4 inches tall, and I am used to owning big bikes. My current Specialized Tarmac SL7 and my Gen 1 Athos are both 61cm frames, and they fit me beautifully. And I previously owned a 2016 model Trek Monda in a size 60 frame, and that was also a great fit. However, when I looked at the sizing charts for the Checkpoint for my height and inseam, I saw that I was right on the borderline between a large and an XL. It seemed very strange that I might end up buying only a size large bike. So I went for the XL. It definitely looks and feels really big. And as I'll explain later, I've needed to bring my saddle forward slightly. The Isospeed Decoupler does not look like much with a casual glance, but I can tell you that it works very well. It reduces the initial shock of bumping over a rock or hitting a dip in the trail, but where I mostly noticed it was on the landings. When the rear wheel touches down after a bump or jump, there are 3 or 4 damping waves coming from the rear seat post to soak up the hit, making it a much gentler and more comfortable return to ground. This is a significant improvement on the ride harshness that I felt on my old TCX, which had no suspension, and of course on my road bikes. A big win here for the Checkpoint. The Checkpoint's able to accommodate a suspension fork as an aftermarket swap over, but I'm not looking for full front suspension. But I was very pleased with the Bontraeger Handlebars, which come equipped with ISO Zone EVA pads that help reduce vibrational stress. Yes, you could buy something similar aftermarket, but it's nice not to need to. I found these ISO pads to be very effective at combating upper limb strain and hand numbness. Although I haven't peeled the bar tape back to have a look for myself, you can see the change of contour where they are positioned, and a simple finger press test shows how much compression they absorb. Being a bike fitter, I'm fairly in tune with my setup, so when I went into the Trek dealer, I took my numbers with me so they could set up my position accurately. But on my first 2 rides, I felt like I was being overstretched, which is quite some feat when you're 6'4" like me. But after having a closer look at the spec sheet, I realised that the handlebars on Big Red were 46 centimetres wide. With my arms being spread out further, it felt like my chest was being pulled forwards, much more so than on my other bikes. So I've moved my saddle forwards 15mm to compensate, and bingo, back in the sweet spot. Gravel riding is about adventure, literally going off the beaten track. And for me, this means tackling some gradients that I would never dare consider on my road bikes. Although I'm a strong climber, I've had to step off my old TCX gravel bike with the semi-compact setup when faced with uphill segments around 25%. With a 36-tooth chainring and a 28-tooth cog, that gave a drive ratio of 129%. On the Checkpoint, the single chainring is a 40-tooth and the largest cog at the back is a 46-tooth, so this gives a drive ratio of 87%. This gives me the ability to get up some really steep climbs that I couldn't have managed before. So far I've tackled some gradients between 28 and 30%. I've managed to keep pedaling and maintain traction. On the downhill side of things, the smallest 10-tooth cog, this gives a drive ratio of 400%, which is a lot less than most road bikes would have with their double chainring setup. However, that's fine, as I'm not planning to rock it as fast on downhill gravel as I do on downhill tarmac. With the steep climbing I've been doing, I found myself sliding forwards on my saddle to prevent front wheel lift and trying to really get my torso down low. Rolling the pelvis forwards like this just isn't comfortable on the traditional saddle angle with only a few degrees of downward slant. So I've got my torque wrench out and I've angled my saddle down now 10 degrees and this feels much better. Yes, there is a bit more load on the upper body this way, so it pays to have good arm strength. If you've never used a 1x system before, it is a revelation. To be fair on the Checkpoint, it comes at the expense of the higher gears, but I really don't think they will be missed on a gravel bike. It is very reassuring to only have the left lever for an easier gear, the right lever for a harder gear, and that's all you have to think about. Initially I had concerns about cross-chaining when I was in the 46-tooth cog, but even under the load of a 28% gradient, I didn't notice any extra chain noise or feel any chain jumping. I was really looking forward to throwing away the saddlebag that I've always used before and getting everything that I need into the Bontraeger internal tool storage bag, BITS for short. While it looks great in theory, in reality it just doesn't all fit. There just isn't enough space for a CO2 cartridge, inflator nozzle, tyre levers and a tube, and then be able to put the cover back on and lock it shut. No can do. However, there is space in the down tube storage area to either get a second BITS bag, or you could just slide the inner tube in there on its own. The Trek website points out that using down tube storage will lower the bike's centre of gravity compared to using a saddlebag. So maybe that's one small reason why the bike feels so good when throwing it into a corner. Clearly, I'm a big fan of Big Red, and I think that if you're in the market for a all-rounder gravel bike, then the current Gen 3 Trek Checkpoint is the best value option and the obvious choice amongst the major brands. In my previous video, I pointed out just how much cheaper the Checkpoint is than most of its competitors, and it comes with a lifetime warranty for the first purchaser. After my first 3 rides, I found nothing to complain about and I really love this bike. If you've enjoyed this review video, please give a thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next video.